Hey everybody, great to have you back here in the fish tank. It's time for Minion Masters patch notes. As always, Fish delivers. Now, of course, if you're following along with what's going on with Minion Masters, there's no new content per se, which means there's no new cards or alt perks. But the game is continuing. As long as it makes enough money to cover itself, the game will continue. So if you're enjoying playing it, think about buying some rubies. Even if you don't need rubies, buy some rubies, support the game. So we're going to look at what's been added in this patch. A little bit of new content in the terms of cosmetics, and of course balance changes. The balance changes are being driven by the community, so if you want to get involved, join the Minion Masters Discord and submit your balance changes, or look at the other submitted changes and give them a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and the ones that get the most support will end up in the game. Okay, so reminder, if you're new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button if you want to keep up to date with everything Minion Masters related, and should you feel like it, give the video a thumbs up. Right, let's dive in. So this is going to be version 2.10, 2.10. It's going to be called Dawn of the Hammer, and it is an Empyrean themed battle pass. So there will be a new battle pass. There won't be any new cards in it, but there will be some new content we'll look at. And there'll be more stuff, just the normal, just not new stuff. Okay, so Saturday the 30th of November. Patches are probably going to be on Saturdays going forward. And really the reason for that is because the devs, they have new jobs now. They don't work for Beta Dwarf anymore. So they're kind of doing it in their own time. So the weekend is good for them. Right, so as said, new season pass, new cosmetics, and balance changes. Right, so new cosmetics. We have a new skin, which I think looks pretty sick. So this is a new Diona skin. Obviously, it is a recolor of the Plague Doctor skin, but I do like it. And it comes with a recolored ruffles as well. So I look forward to getting my hands on that. And there's also a new emote in the form of a Volko one, which if you've been following along with my meta analysis and stuff, Volko pretty heavily played and likely to see some balance changes, which we have next. Right, balance changes. So these are going to be things that are getting stronger or weaker or specifically rebalanced in many different ways. Reminder, these are community-driven balance changes. The devs have given the community almost free reign with regards to balance in the game. So if you want to get involved in that, come have your say. A lot of people are very vocal about balances in the game, but they don't put their actual thoughts into the correct format, so it doesn't really help. Don't complain in the chat, join the Minion Masters Discord, and get involved. Right, so we have a buff to Ravager. Alt perk 1, Overpower. The bonus damage is going up from 70 to 80, so that's the first attack that the minion does against another minion. This one's kind of a weird one. Setsu. Her perk 3, alt perk 3, Air Support, where you get the Hellfire, summons a gnat when you use it. So summons a gnat to protect her. Seems kind of a weird one. Don't think it's really going to change very much. Stormbringer, another alt perk buff. This is the cloud cover for alt perk 2. Duration going up from 5 seconds to 8 seconds. That's where you get a minion and you put it on a cloud to basically protect it and give it some extra range. Again, I don't think this is going to change much just because the standard perk is just so much better. Next up we have a buff for Tronvir. His alt perk 1, the Runic Attunement, which is where you spend mana on either spells, buildings or minions, and then you get the appropriate rune based on how much you're spending. The Frost Rune, the mana spend requirement's going down from 18 to 17, and the Ancestry Rune mana spend is going down from 18 to 16. And again, going back to my meta video, not too much Tronvir out there, especially in solos. Right, a buff to Cowardly Imps. Their speed is going up from 5 to 6. And I think this kind of works for them because it means they can run away quicker and potentially survive more. So I think generally you don't necessarily want a faster unit, but if they're going to be running away, then perhaps it kind of works out. So Cowardly Imps are going to be a little bit quicker. Buff here to the Dragon Whelp, so it gains Voidborn Wound, and Voidborn Wound is something that you can activate while the card is in your hand, and to activate it you have to do damage to the opponent's tower with another Voidborn minion. And then when you spawn it, it gets the buff, and in this case it gets Rage. So it doesn't cost any more than previous, but it just has a little restriction. Of course, you can spawn it without the Voidborn Wound being active, and it will just be non-raged. Okay, we'll see a change here for the Empowered Soul Stealer. So it gains Vampiric, which means when it gets a kill, it heals itself for 20% or something of the thing it killed's max HP. So we'll see how that works out. I feel like that could become problematic, but the thing that kind of keeps this in check is that it's pretty weak when it comes to HP. Right, Frost Feathers. So this is not the Flyby, the actual Frost Feathers minion. So they're getting some buffs, which, because they're very underplayed, potentially for good reason. So their attack cooldown's going up, sorry. So they attack more quickly, so their DPS goes up. That's good. Their attack damage is going down a little bit, but their health is also going up. So they'll be a little bit more tanky. And one thing we need to consider with the Frost Feathers is the minion is also used within the Flyby. So whilst the Flyby might not be getting changed specifically, the underlying minion is getting changed, which then changes the Frost Feather Flyby. So the Flyby, I think, gives you 11 of these. So previously, 11 of these would do 154 damage. That's going down to 143, which are a few thresholds that actually changes. So that it will no longer be able to kill things like an Assassin, an Annihilator, or Lady in Fray, whereas previously it would. Can still kill a Stixie, but not a Stixie with a shield. And because their health's going up a little bit, they're a little bit more tanky. There's a bunch of cheap anti-air that only does 20 damage. So because these are going to have 25 health, it'll take a little bit longer. They'll take an extra hit to kill them. Things like crossbow dudes and drone buzzers. Next up, we see a buff to Nazara, getting a little bit more health. Remember, she has the Vampiric, the Cold Blood Vampiric, so she heals on kills. So her health is going up from 450 to 480. I did see her in some randoms matches getting some good value, but I think it was more because the people were just playing badly into her and giving her the chance to get that value. Another unit that you've just got to play carefully, and generally the better your opponents are, the worse this minion will be. Right, the basic Soul Stealer also gets Vampiric like the Empowered one. And that's the end of the things that are getting stronger. Now let's have a look at the nerfs, the things that are getting weaker. Now, in solos, Valorian has been everywhere. So his ult perk 2, the Fervent Warrior, is getting changed a little bit. So it's only going to cost 2 mana instead of 3. But it's not going to spawn with a Divine Shield. It's only going to spawn with just a regular 1-tap shield. So it'll be cheaper, but you'll be able to get a lot less value out of it. And another master that was there everywhere last season, or this season, depending on when you're watching this, is Volko. And we remember, if you looked at one of my previous videos, the devs did give us some stats for play rates and win rates of masters, and specifically master perks. And we could see that Volko with this Endless Rage, ult perk 3, was very strong. So remember, it's a one-time only perk, so this is going to give you 7 mana instead of 10, over 7 seconds instead of 10 seconds. So you get 1 extra mana a second, and the embers are going to stay alive on both bridges for 7 seconds. So one-time only perk, but less of a huge impact than currently having. Right, Berserker. She's been everywhere, and she's definitely problematic or very strong in duos when she's wildcarded, supported, all that kind of nonsense. So her fear range is going down from 8 to 6. So remember, when she gets to 50% health, she fears everything. Now she's not going to fear quite so much. So you should be able to deal with her with ranged units better. Legionnaires, we've seen some changes to the Legionnaires recently, and another one coming up here. So the previous was you get 3, or if you had Imperial Army, you get 4. It's being changed now. So instead of getting 3, you get 2 plus Legion 1. And Legion is where you get a Legionnaire that spawns at your tower. It's added to your deck as a free card, one-time only card, and it spawns at your tower when you draw it. So that's the stuff that you get from like Rystar and City Watch. So you get 2 plus an extra 1 at some point. So obviously less value because you can't just have 3 immediately. and the Legion one's going to spawn at the tower. It still has the Empyrean army buff, so you get an extra one. So that would be spawning 3 plus the extra Legion. Another card that's been very heavily played, especially in solos, was Magma Cannon. So the attack cooldown's going down, up. Don't know why I always get those wrong. So it's going to attack slower, have less DPS. Shroom Puff. So this was a little problematic because they changed a few patches ago so you could spawn puffs anywhere. And, you know, effectively you could spawn him, grab a bridge and generate a puff, and your opponent had almost no way of just reacting and counterplaying because it was so fast. So now it's going to have a 2-second delay. So it gets to the bridge, it waits 2 seconds, then it turns into a shroom. So you have a little bit more time to react and shut it down. Right, next up we have a nerf to the spear throwers. Their attack cooldowns going up from 1.7 seconds to 1.9 seconds. And that also affects tantrum throwers. They get the same nerf. Right, those are the balance changes. And that concludes this video. So just to reiterate, so this is dropping Saturday the 30th of November. We've got a new season pass, new cosmetics, and of course all those balance changes. Let me know in the comments, what do you think of these balance changes? Other stuffs that is not being covered that you think should be? Reminder, join the Minion Masters Discord. You can make your own balance suggestions, and if they're good and supported, they'll end up in the game next month. And final reminder, the game will continue as long as it's making enough money to cover it. Hopefully we'll find out how much the game made in November, once November's over, to give us an idea. And to clarify, it does cost, the devs have told us it costs $3,200 a month to keep the game running. And if the game makes that money, it will keep running. So let's, if we want it to keep running, if we're enjoying it, then why not carry on? So think about buying some rubies, supporting the game if you want it to continue. Anyway, that's everything from me. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, subscribe. My name's Bad as a Fish, and I'll see you again soon here in the fish tank.